Welcome to That's Good Sport. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm just some schmuck who babbles about football on YouTube, and today I want to talk about offensive players who could be poised for a breakout season in the NFL. Under the radar dudes who could jump into the spotlight or become the reason you win your fantasy league this year. Starting with Tua Tagovailoa. Here's a spicy take that'll get us started. Giving any QB a Tyreek Hill will make him better at quarterback. Defenses are forced to respect Hill's speed, but does Tua have the left arm to get it there? Well, Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have a rocket, but new Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel helped design an offense around Jimmy G's strengths, which is making women want to leave their husbands for him. But also his second strength, efficient passing. I believe Tua is like Jimmy in terms of being a similar passer. No offense to Tua, who is not ugly by any means, but my wife never accidentally says Tagovailoa during sex. Tua has been a little better than he's been given credit for through his short career. His main downfall is that he was sandwiched between Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert in the 2020 draft. That's like being Darren Carr, the one brother in between David and Derek that didn't make it to the NFL. I'd also like to point out that Tua's offensive line is presumably no longer dog shit. I really do believe Tua could be close to a 4,000-yard passer just like Jimmy Garoppolo was in 2019 and 2021. Just by virtue of actually playing a full season, Tua's numbers should rise significantly. Boom! Subscribe here if I haven't pissed you off yet, and today's episode is sponsored by manscaped.com/goodsports. Not only is Manscaped the global leader in men's grooming and hygiene solutions, they have the best damn boxer briefs my buttocks has ever allowed to cradle its supple cheeks. Manscaped is the only reason I tried boxer briefs, and now they're all I wear, despite the fact that Manscaped turned me down to be the official model for the boxer briefs for alleged boxer stuffing. That's all natural, guys. The new Boxer 2.0s are perfect for anyone, especially if you're physically active. Plus, there's more than 6 color options with bundle options to save money with their 3-pack, which feature the jewel pouch to secure your most prized body parts. Testicles. These boxer briefs keep your junk snug, which I noticed while working out, and feature a breathable design so you never chafe. Use my link below or just go to manscaped.com/goodsports to get 20% off your order. You can always get the Performance Package Bundle, which include a pair of the Boxer 2.0s. Now let me mention some guys who are not on today's list. Matt Ryan. I love that some of you suggested him, and I have been on the Matty Ice train for years. I do believe he will have a better season than he did last year on a decimated Falcons roster, but come on now. He's a 37-year-old former MVP QB. You guys are crazy. I also don't have Kyle Pitts or Michael Pittman on the list, Ryan's former top target and presumed next top target. Kyle Pitts will see a decline in production with Matt Ryan gone, and I felt like last season was Pittman's breakout year. He did have over 1,000 receiving yards and 6 TDs, but I guess that extra game kind of distorts the stats a bit. I do see Pittman, though, having closer to 10 touchdowns and maybe 11 or 1,200 yards. Then there are guys like Darnell Mooney, who also broke 1,000 yards in 2021 under the worst passing circumstances. But Mooney needs his quarterback, Justin Fields, to take a massive leap forward, and I can't bank on that. So I'm going to go with Jeudy. After scoring just 3 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons, it's not going to take much for Jeudy to have a career year in Denver. Fortunately for him, he's no longer going to be catching passes from Drew Lock, Jeff Driscoll, Brett Rippon, Kendall Hinton, or Teddy Bridgewater. He's got Russell Wilson throwing him the rock. So there's going to be less of this and more of this. More importantly, he's also free of offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur, who used him as a decoy on jet sweeps more than he did as a receiver. Pat Shurmur was to offensive play calling what helium was to the Hindenburg. He was supposed to be the fuel to move the offense forward, and instead he blew that shit up every single week. He blew it up. And unlike Led Zeppelin, slapping their name over the disaster and making it rock, the only rock Shurmur made me think of was the one I wanted to throw at his fucking face. Fuck you, Pat Shurmur. Which would have been a more catchable rock than the passes thrown Jeudy's way the last 2 seasons. Jeudy will have to battle Cortland Sutton and Timmy Patrick for targets, but I think Jeudy is so much different than those 2 guys that Nathaniel Hackett will find a way to highlight his route running ability and get him into space so he can break some ankles. Shurmur didn't even want Jeudy running deep routes or double moves because they took too long to develop. With the king of deep balls in town, Jeudy should go from 7 targets past the 20-yard mark to somewhere closer to the 29 DK Metcalf got, which was 10 fewer than even Tyler Lockett, by the way. And Jeudy plays more like Lockett, but 40 deep balls? I can't get that excited yet. My prediction, Jeudy matches his career total of 90 receptions and 1,300 yards in his first season with the King of Corn. Moving on to Amon-Ra, St. Brown, the most popular man in the comment section when I posted this question to you guys here on YouTube. If you think Tyreek Hill's speed will soften up defenses in Miami, the same thing is probably true about adding Jameson Williams in Detroit. Amon-Ra St. Brown was basically the only receiver you had to cover in Detroit last year, and he still had a productive season. Now he's got DJ Chark and Jameson Williams to take some pressure off of him. According to the Lions, St. Brown is that dude. That dude is the highest honor Dan Campbell can bestow upon a player. It's like being knighted by the Queen of England, if she weren't dead. But this time next year, Amon-Ra St. Brown's dad will no longer bother wearing a half-and-half jersey. It will be 100% Lions. As a rookie, Amon-Ra, posted 90 receptions and 5 TDs, which was essentially the exact same stat line as Devontae Smith, who was drafted 102 picks ahead of him, 5 more TDs than Kadarius Toney, who famously scored 0, 4 more than Rashod Bateman, all first-round picks. Brown was essentially tied as the 3rd most productive receiver in an elite receiver draft class, and he went to the goddamn Lions in the 4th round. Someone give this man the Nobel Prize. I believe St. Brown will ascend into the end zone 9 times and break 1,000 receiving yards this season, as his religious presence will make it harder for anyone to beat Goff. Speaking of Bateman, Rashod Bateman, incoming massive breakout year. With Hollywood Brown out of the picture in Baltimore, Rashod Bateman is going to be looking at more new targets than a recently gentrified neighborhood. Bateman is the perfect receiver for Lamar Jackson. He's big, has a great catch radius, and he's tough in the middle. Bateman only started 4 games last year, but he had 68 total targets, which was 3rd on the team behind Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews. Brown, by the way, was targeted 146 times, only catching 91. I think it's easy to assume Bateman will have over 100 receptions, possibly over 110. In their first 8 games, Bateman's production was on par with guys like DK Metcalf, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and AJ Brown, despite only being on the field for 60% of his team's offensive snaps. He only had 2 drops last year, which is refreshing for a team that's sort of been plagued by drops from guys like, well, Hollywood Brown. Not to pick on the guy, but I think Hollywood Brown left about 3 TDs and 300 yards off his stat line with drops from this Warren Sharp highlight reel alone. My prediction is Bateman has the most receiving yards by a Ravens receiver since Torrey Smith's 1,128-yard season in 2013. Mark Andrews, of course, had 1,300 yards last season, but he's a tight end. Lamar Jackson was on pace to have the most passing attempts of his career before getting injured, and while being a number 3 or number 4 ball catcher for the Ravens may result in far fewer targets than on pass-heavy offenses, it's a great place to be a number 1 or number 2 guy. And no, I'm not talking about Lamar when I say number 2 guy. I also have to say Jalen Moore of the 49ers. On the practice squad last year until week 15 when he came in and had a 110-yard game against the Falcons and a TD, only to get lost in the shuffle again. Okay, so I made up Jalen Moore. I think that was Jeff Wilson. My point, don't count out a running back we've never heard of to have about 5 incredible games in the 49ers backfield this season. More seriously, Travis Etienne of the Jaguars. Anyone who formerly played for Urban Meyer but no longer plays for Urban Meyer should be considered a candidate for a breakout season, and that includes QB Trevor Lawrence. But since that's a boring take, I'm going with his college and NFL teammate Travis Etienne. Etienne was a serious head-scratcher of a pick by the Jags, who spent a first-rounder on the Clemson back despite the existence of James Robinson. The new Doug Peterson regime doesn't have to deal with that baggage, however. They can simply play the best players, and Etienne is talented enough to make a difference running and catching the ball out of the backfield and in the slot for the Jags. And I wish I had a nickel for every time I heard this, but Etienne has been drawing some comparisons to Deebo Samuel for his versatility. Sure, he missed a season, but in his own words, if there was any year to miss, I missed a great one. Oh boy, you really said it, Travis. I believe with Peterson, the Jaguars will run the ball more. They had the 3rd fewest rush attempts in 2021, and the Eagles during their Super Bowl winning season were top 10 in rush attempts, and again in 2019. Even if Etienne is sharing reps with Robinson, who I love, there should be more opportunities for any back in that system. Lastly, I have 2 players, Jalen Waddle and or Mike GeSICKI. After the Tyreek Hill episode I posted on Tuesday, I wanted to dig into this a little more because I really think one of these guys will see a massive uptick in production with the arrival of Tyreek Hill in Miami. Obviously, Jalen Waddle set the bar very high as a rookie by breaking the rookie reception record and finishing the season with 104 catches. I think Waddle will have fewer receptions in 2022 because of Hill, but his yardage could jump from 1,015 yards to 1,100 or 1,200, as I believe his big play capability will increase. Now, part of that is new head coach Mike McDaniel, but also because Waddle will be the number 2 receiver on the team, meaning he should receive favorable matchups with Hill opposite of him. But if I had to bet, I think we could see Mike GeSICKI, who has been one of my favorite tight ends for a few years, get the biggest boost in statistical production. It's pretty simple. Travis Kelce feasted because of Tyreek Hill. Mike McDaniel was in San Francisco when George Kittle set the single-season yardage record for tight ends. Kittle and GeSICKI had 71 and 73 receptions last year, but Kittle had 4 more touchdowns and 130 more yards. So bet on a healthy season from the sick guy to go for over 1,000. And yes, Bills fans, I think Gabe Davis could have a big uptick in production, but I already see him as a stud. So that's why he's not on the list. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Check out some more of my videos. They're on the screen right now. The Antonio Brown anthology is a good one if you've got 23 extra minutes in your day. And I know you do. You loser, you've got nothing to do with your life